Let's learn to do Jefferson curls. This is the long forgotten posterior chain exercise, which is currently experiencing a bit of a renaissance. If I had to choose just one exercise that most people are not currently doing that would improve their quality of life, it would be this one. Modern man does a whole lot of sitting and slouching and very, very little spinal extension and mobility. Basically, no other exercise really gives the same stimulus. If you know another exercise that comes close, let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. A lot of people, myself included, report significant decreases in back pain and increased performance in other movements that require back stability. But it is precisely because this exercise is so potent that it can also be risky if you do too much or go too heavy too quickly. It articulates the hips and all 33 vertebrae. So in that sense, it's more complicated and there's more to coordinate than even compound movements where you might really be only moving 2 or 3 joints under load. You're bound to feel weak in a few parts of the range of motion in your back when you begin this, so taking a very slow path of progress is the way here. We want to make our back stronger gradually, not get injured quickly. So we want to start with body weight, and when we're adding weight, only 5 or 10 kilos at the beginning for several sessions until your body adapts to it. The pros of this movement are that it is the heaviest exercise that actually articulates the spine. I guess weighted crunches do similarly, but they can't really be loaded nearly as heavy or as easily. The cons are that if you haven't done them, you're going to be really weak at them. There can be an urge to progress quickly. Do not give in to that urge. Check your ego, go slow, and don't get injured. The primary movements are spinal flexion and spinal extension, which is the movement we're actually strengthening on the concentric, but it's both a strength and mobility exercise for improving your range in spinal and hip flexion. The primary muscles worked are the spinal erectors. The secondary muscles are basically the entire posterior chain, your traps, your QL, basically everything on your back, and your hamstrings and glutes. We can progress this exercise in 2 ways, by improving range of motion and then by increasing weight. I recommend that everyone start by increasing range of motion before adding more than 10 or so kilograms. You can improve mobility quickly with this exercise, which will get you touching your toes and far beyond. And once you're comfortable in that range and you've given your spine some time to adapt, then you can prioritize building strength here. There are 2 possible grips here. You can use the overhand straight arm grip or the Zercher hold in the crook of the elbows. I like roughly shoulder width grip for both. Straight arm is easiest, but you'll need to use a deficit as you get more flexible, and you'll need a very stable surface once you start adding some serious weight. So since I train at home, I just do the Zercher variation, which you can do standing on the floor. Begin by deadlifting the bar to above your knees, then set it to rest on the top of your quads near the knee joint. Bring your elbows inside your legs, grabbing the bar with the crook of your elbows, about shoulder width. The wider your grip, the more room you'll have for your head to pass between your hands in the bottom position. Once you're happy with your Zercher hold, squat up to the starting position. We start this exercise standing tall, maybe even slightly extended throughout the back. Take a breath, exhale partway, and brace your core and pelvic floor to start each rep. If you're doing light weights, you can skip this, but if you plan on going heavy, this will eventually be important, just like it's important for squats and deadlifts. Begin each rep by flexing from the very top of the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way to the bottom. So you start by flexing the neck maximally, then with each part of the spine, the bend sort of waves downwards to the next segment of the spine. At the bottom, the flexion will be all in your hips, with the upper spine fully neutral. Take a deep breath at the bottom position, as you'll feel a strong stretch here. Reverse the movement upwards, starting by extending the hips using the hamstrings, and waving the movement up through the spine until you're standing again. It's a pretty unique movement, and you won't nail it right away. But over time, you'll get more articulation throughout every section of your spine, and over months, you'll get much deeper into the stretch at the bottom. Repeat this for reps. I like 5 to 12 when training for strength, and 5 to 8, but with longer pauses at the bottom when training for mobility. Especially on the last rep, I might hold for 15 to 30 seconds when I'm looking to get a good stretch. Common mistakes with this exercise are bending the knees. Yes, you can get deeper by bending your knees in order to shorten your hamstrings, but this just takes some of the stretch off of your back. Also, on the concentric, it becomes very easy to cheat by sort of squatting the weight up a bit if your knees are bent. That said, while you're resting in the bottom position, it's fine to experiment with alternately bending one knee and then the other, because this changes the stretch feeling a little bit. But while you're going up and down, keep the knees locked. The second common mistake is not articulating the spine on the way up. It's pretty easy to do this as a hinge on the way up, but we want to articulate and strengthen the spine. This is meant to be different than a deadlift. Save the heavy, static spine hip hinge for when you're deadlifting. The final mistake is not pausing in the bottom position. Since this is such a potent mobility exercise, we really want to spend time at the bottom. One easy way to avoid this is to just take a deep breath while you're there. You can drop your core bracing, relax for a moment, take a deep breath, and then re-brace your core before standing up again. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe for more educational fitness content. In this series, I'll feature tutorials for all the exercise in my program and my clients' programs. Get strong for life.